Well, hello, everybody. Pastor Andy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. It is so great to be with you today. Man, it has been a busy day for me. I've been in meetings since early this morning. Finally had a chance to sit down here and do our lesson for the day. We've been talking about the invitation, come and be satisfied. Are you satisfied is the kind of the question in that scenario. The scripture that we're taking from Isaiah, he speaks of vital things that we deal with: thirst, hunger, our soul, all these different things. And it does lead back to that question: are you satisfied? But it's the invitation here that's important as we study these great invitations of the Bible. And the Lord is saying, come and be satisfied. What does that mean, friends? It means we have the opportunity. In today's world, there are many, many things that and I'm not stereotyping here, so we're all fallible. We're all capable of going down all kinds of different directions in the effort to satisfy those needs, be they thirst, be they hunger, whatever the case, even our soul. We're always looking for the answer. We're always looking for satisfaction. As I referenced yesterday, the old song, I can't get no satisfaction. Who's asking why? The why is important because if everything that we're doing, if everything that we're seeking after is not satisfactory, then either we're looking in the wrong place or we have the wrong pursuit. In other words, we're looking for something that is incapable of satisfying the need. Does that make sense? When we look at this text, we see the invitation there, the promise there, if you will, to learn how to be satisfied. Come and be satisfied. So that is an invitation to an opportunity. In other words, meaning that the invitor is saying, I've got what you need. I've got the solution. I've got the answer. In other words, you can be fulfilled. You can be made whole. When we look at this verse, we see things like thirst, hunger, and soul. I want us to focus today, just for a few minutes today. We're going to have a little bit shorter lesson today on the word thirst. Every single, and I referenced this in our earlier lessons, every single living thing is affected by this from a natural, physical stance. The soil of the earth thirsts for the rain of the sky. Our bodies naturally crave liquid satisfaction in the form of water or whatever the case, electrolytes and what have you that we need. Every living thing, every tree, every plant, every dog, every cat, everything. It is beyond death and beyond hunger the one commonality that we all share. Doesn't matter what part of the world we come from or what background or genetic makeup or any other thing, everyone gets thirsty. It's one of the few things that we can all come in agreement on. That's not a geographical or any other thing. That's real. That's universal. That's everything. I don't know that there is or isn't anything else out there on another planet, but if there is, they get thirsty too. So we see that's just part of our makeup. At some point, we all have that thirst, if you will, through the day, through the night. Even sometimes we'll wake up from a sleep and really feel parched and quenched. It's a craving, and sometimes, I could really go for a good cold whatever. It's a desire at other times, and in some cases, it's a must. If you're really, really hot, maybe you've been working out in the yard or exercising really hard or whatever in the beating sun, and you have to have it. I mean, you're just about ready to fall over. You get dehydrated if you don't. If we look at that craving, that desire, if we look at the word craving, it is defined as an intense desire. So we see how all that ties together and why that's important to this invitation. Because in context, this word thirst, it speaks of a deep inner craving. Come and satisfy your thirst. That has such a broad spectrum of meaning. It's not talking about just getting a glass of water, because as we think on quenching our thirst, then again we immediately think of the natural: get a glass of water, a cold soda, glass of milk, whatever it is that you feel is going to take care of that dryness in your throat or that satisfaction you have. And it works for a moment. And then what happens? We need some more. It may be an hour, it may be 30 minutes, it may be half the day, but regardless of the time frame, it returns. In other words, it was never fully satisfied. And it never is. It is an endless pursuit. We have times we ignore it because we don't have time to constantly drink, nor do we have the desire to constantly drink. But the need and the desire and the craving is always there, because it can never be satisfied. While it may be quenched at that moment, it's never put out. It's again, it's fulfilled in the moment, but it's not long-term satisfactory, because our makeup, our biological makeup never allows for it to be. But what we have to understand, though, friends, is when we attempt to satisfy a craving, when we attempt to satisfy a desire with that which is incapable of doing such, what does it leave us? It leaves us wanting. It leaves us in a position of unfulfillment. That leads us to having a greater thirst. And as human beings, we don't just thirst for liquid. We don't just thirst for, again, a cold water or a Gatorade or a Coke or a Mountain Dew or coffee, or it's none of those things. Those things are that's only a small portion of what we thirst after. In the human condition, we thirst after power. We thirst after prestige and position and pleasure. And boy, that list could get really, really long. It's a craving. It is a real desire. And with those thirsts, we attempt the same thing, to quench those thirsts. But oftentimes what we find is the path that takes us down, the place that leads us to, oftentimes is unsatisfactory. So what happens? Well, that didn't work, so let's try something else. Well, that didn't work, so let's try again something else. And then it leads us to places that are not good. It could be a place of addiction. It could be a place of separation, a place of divorce, a place of brokenness, loss of job, loss of health, loss of home, loss of respect. Because just like that physical thirst, it can never truly be quenched by the things of this world. Why? Pastor Andy, why? Are you saying that? Here's what I'm saying. Every literal single thing that we have offered to us on this earth outside of the person of Christ is a temporary fix. Jesus said, I offer unto you like not the world offers unto you. What does that mean? Temporary versus eternal. Everything that God offers us is eternal. It is for our eternal well-being. It is not a temporary fix. It is not a Band-Aid. It is not a patch. It is a permanent fix. Oftentimes, we find ourselves in a lifetime pursuit of things to quench our thirst for things like power, prestige, position, and on so and on so. And we try to find ourselves climbing that ladder or getting that notoriety or getting that, whatever only to never really be satisfied because what was offered to fill that void couldn't do it. It couldn't do it. It didn't work. And so that puts us on another pursuit for something else. That is why our satisfaction must and absolutely has to come through the person of Christ. Because he is the fulfiller of our need. He is the fulfiller of our desires and our thoughts, not from a worldly perspective, but from a peace of mind and a peace of heart perspective, that there is something bigger. There is more to this than what we can see. And until we can settle with that, then we continue that endless pursuit toward that which cannot be fulfilled. When Jesus spoke to the woman at the well, and I think I referenced this yesterday in the lesson, is that I would bring this up. Okay, so we have, let me just share this little story with you, if you will. All right, this comes from the book of John. One of my favorite illustrations, by the way. Jesus is on another journey in ministry, and he said, I must go through this place. So he goes by, and there's a well. And he stops at this well to get a drink of water because Jesus was thirsty. He was human. He was all man whenever he was here. At this well was a woman there drawing from the well. She was a Samaritan. Samaritans were looked at by the Jewish class of people, the Jewish race, whatever you want to call it. They looked down upon the Samaritans. They didn't see them as equal. So again, it was a race issue. Same thing kind of stuff that we have going on today. Now, Jesus didn't play into that, of course. And he set the standard for a lot of what we need to see today. I want to be careful not to chase a rabbit here, but Jesus looked at this basically because her hesitancy to speak to him, because he said, will you draw me a drink of water? She was hesitant to speak to him because it was a woman talking to a man, which was, again, highly looked down upon. But even more so, it was a Samaritan speaking to a Jew or a Jew speaking to a Samaritan, and that was a no-no. But Jesus' response basically was, who came up with that? We need a big dose of that in the world today. Who comes up with all this nonsense that we can't get along? Who comes up with this that we're different or we're somehow one superior over another? God didn't say that, not at all. So Jesus meets this woman at the well, and he speaks to her with kindness, with compassion, because he'd never seen her before, but he knew her heart. He knew her need, because she, while at the well to draw water, whatever that was for, cooking, bringing it to someone else, might have been her job to be the water drawer, or maybe she too just needed a drink. But here's the reference. She's drawing water from the well to quench a thirst, be it herself or someone, but she herself was thirsty. But it wasn't for the literal water from the well. You see, she was trying to find satisfaction. She was trying to find fulfillment emotionally through relationship, because she'd been married 5 times. That's a stigma in some people's eyes. But unless you've been there, unless you've walked down that path, it's really a really, really hard place to understand. See, many people are seeking fulfillment in jobs, in careers, in the pursuit of whatever, whether it's fame or celebrity or notoriety or whatever. But a lot of people seek fulfillment and satisfaction in the desire for a relationship. And when it doesn't work, oftentimes the natural response is what? To find another one. Just like, well, that drink wasn't good enough, or it didn't satisfy me, so I better get another one, or I better have something a little bit stronger, a little more potent. And that doesn't necessarily mean like an alcohol thing, but okay, that one bottle of water wasn't enough. I'm really thirsty, so I better have 2. Okay, so she's pursuing fulfillment through relationship. Well, the first one didn't work. So she went and found another one. Well, that one didn't work either. And now she's on Number 5. It would be easy to point the finger of judgment at that and, look at it from a loose perspective or less respectable type situation. But Jesus approached her with love and compassion. He didn't tell her she was right. He didn't jump all over her either. He just said this: if you drink of this water, you will thirst again. Now, we got 2 different perspectives there. The natural water, absolutely correct. If you just take a glass of water and you drink that, you will thirst again. Well, that's true. Nobody can argue that. Nobody, regardless of your perspective on faith or whatever your faith background is or belief system is, you can't argue that from a human perspective. If you have a glass of water right now, in just a little while, you'll be thirsty again. That's true. But that wasn't what he was talking about. Here's what he was talking about. If you keep doing what you're doing, it ain't going to work, because you're just going to be thirsty again. And number 5 will be number 6, and number 6 will be number 8. And it because you will never find what you're looking for until you start looking in the right places. Because again, we're always looking for the complimentary stuff. We're looking for the satisfactory stuff that makes us feel good, or this, and there's nothing wrong with those things in a perspective. However, if that is the only way that we can be fulfilled, we'll never find it. Because there's always going to be someone who's going to find a flaw. Or there's always going to be someone who may not be complimentary. There's always going to be someone who may not see you in the same light. Therefore, well, that didn't work, so I better go find some. Because friends, if we're always told what we want to hear, we're never hearing what we need to hear. And the truth is, sometimes we need some improvement. The truth is, sometimes we need something better. We need something or someone who's willing to tell us that. But in this day and age of easy follow, everybody's following the newest shiny object, whatever it may be, the newest fad, the newest fashion thing, the newest this, the newest that, whatever. And it doesn't matter. And there is a snake oil salesman on every corner willing to show you what you want to see just to get you to come down that road, or get you to spend your money, or subscribe to this, or buy that, or what. It's everywhere. And there's no exemption, and there's no one direction that I'm pointing to. That is a general answer that is true. Here we see this lady is pursuing fulfillment through another. Jesus said, if you keep drinking of that water, you're going to thirst again. However, if you drink of the water that I offer you, you will never thirst again. What's the difference? Temporary versus eternal. Come and be satisfied. Friends, when we think about that word, satisfaction, desire, fulfillment, whatever the case, let's go back to our question. Are you? Are you still thirsty? Are you still seeking an answer? There's one, and his name is Jesus. If you continue to drink from the well that you're drinking from, looking for satisfaction, and that glass ends up continuing to be empty, but there's still more thirst, it's time to change the well. It's time to change the source of water and come to the living water that Jesus offers. And it'll change your life forever, because then your thirst is satisfied from the spiritual perspective. And when we have that satisfaction, we're able to pursue the other side of that satisfaction and find the answers that not only honor and please God, but they make our life better, which ultimately makes the lives around us better. We're told in this story that the woman, she wasn't shamed. She wasn't mad at Jesus because he told her, "Oh, you've been married 5 times, and the one you're living with now is not even your husband." I mean, he laid it out. But we're told that she didn't leave angry. we're told that she ran from the well, leaving the water pot behind. The very reason that she came, she ran from the well into town to tell everybody what Jesus had done for her. And he said, this very one that I met, he's told me everything I've ever done. He told me about my whole life. Let me tell you about him. She found the answer. She found a true source of water, but not just any water, living water. We're going to pick back up on that tomorrow, right here at Making It Simple. This is so good. And I don't say it just because I'm doing it, good grief, no. But friends, we're talking about finding answers, and they do exist. God bless you. Thank you for joining me today for Making It Simple. And Lord willing, I'll see you tomorrow.